falling again. The tender love that walks with you to the end. My boyfriend thought I was just a bookworm. One night, drunk with his friends, he complained about me. So what if she gets good grades? Her family doesn't have any money. I bet if I threw some cash in her face, she'd come crawling like a dog. But later I sat crying in someone else's arms. He kissed me from behind my ear down to my neck and laughed softly. A bookworm? Does he even know you're actually the daughter of the city's largest real estate developer? Chapter 1. That evening, it was our group's turn to do classroom duty. I was carrying a garbage bag back from the dumpster when I saw them. My boyfriend, my best friend, his mouth on hers. He was tilting her chin up with 2 fingers. She had her arms wrapped around his neck like she'd practiced that particular embrace 1,000 times. I stopped breathing. Then I pressed my tongue hard against the inside of my cheek, a trick I'd learned to keep from crying, and listened. When are you going to break up with her? My best friend of 10 years, urging him to dump me. I stood outside the window with no expression on my face, watching these 2 people I'd trusted most in the world betray me without a second thought. Chapter 2. I'd almost forgotten when it started. Walking home from school had become a 3-person affair: me, my boyfriend Sterling Hughes, and my best friend Meadow Campbell. I watched our shadows stretch long in the setting sun. Mine walked alone, theirs practically merged together. When we were 12, Meadow had cried to me in her bedroom after our middle school talent show. "You always win at everything: grades, teachers' attention, even the way boys look at you." She'd sniffled, twisting her bracelet. "I just want to be the one someone chooses for once." I'd hugged her then, promising she was never second to me. Now, watching her press against Sterling's side, I realized she'd been keeping that jealousy bottled up for years. There was an honor roll posted by the school entrance. My name sat at the top, first place, again. "Skyler, you're incredible, always number 1. Meadow squeezed my arm, her voice dripping with sweetness. Sterling scoffed. "What's the point of good grades when she's so plain?" Meadow patted his arm. "Don't talk about her like that. You know her family doesn't have much money." A pause, a sympathetic smile aimed at me. "She can only rely on her grades." Her hand never left his arm. She tilted her head at me. "Skyler, we're going to GNR tonight. You have to study, so you probably can't come, right?" Sterling's motorcycle only had room for 1 passenger. I nodded. Sure enough, Meadow climbed onto the back of Sterling's bike. As they pulled away, I heard Meadow's voice carry back. "You really think she'll never find out?" Sterling's laugh was cruel. "Who cares? She's too busy studying to notice. Even if she does, what's she gonna do? She's got nothing without her grades." I watched them disappear without a backward glance. Chapter 3. Dusk bled into the edges of the city. I crouched on the curb, arms wrapped around my knees. I wasn't just sad about Sterling, I was sad about Meadow. About the sleepovers, the inside jokes, the way we'd planned to go to college together. She was my first friend, my only friend for so long, and she'd chosen him over me. I pulled my knees tighter and let the tears come quiet, ragged sobs that shook my shoulders. For the first time in years, I didn't care about being strong. I just wanted someone to hold me. Then I heard it. The roar of a motorcycle, louder, deeper, more powerful than Sterling's. That bold, reckless sound belonged to only one person. A motorcycle 100 times more beautiful than Sterling's stopped in front of me. The first thing I saw were black combat boots. A hand ruffled my hair, not gentle, not rough, just familiar. I finally lifted my head. Everett Sinclair's eyes were also 100 times more beautiful than Sterling's. Chapter 4. Streetlights flickered on. Everett stood with his hands in his pockets, looking down at me with that infuriating smirk. "Why are you squatting there like that? Try to be civilized." I almost swung my backpack at his head. His voice was deep and smooth. Why did he have to ruin it by saying things like that? I'd been crouching too long. When I stood up, my knees buckled. I fell straight into his arms. His jacket zipper pressed against my cheek. I hissed at the cold metal but didn't pull away. So he just held me. "Haven't seen each other in a while and you're already throwing yourself at me?" His breath brushed my ear. It tickled. I pinched his side. The feeling was also better than Sterling's. Chapter 5. I hadn't expected Everett to bring me to GNR. This place was going to be trouble. I tugged at his sleeve. "Let's go somewhere else." "It's too loud." But if Everett were the type to listen to me, he wouldn't be Everett. "You can always walk home." The dim lighting made everything feel intimate. He reached out and pinched my earlobe. "Besides, the private rooms aren't loud." Who said private rooms weren't loud? The people howling karaoke nearly shattered my eardrums. I stood up to get air in the hallway. Even in summer, the air conditioning inside was Arctic. I wasn't planning to stop outside one particular room, but my boyfriend's voice carried through the door. "Sterling bro, why don't you ever bring that straight-A girlfriend of yours around?" Sterling's voice was already slurred. At first, it was cool. Dating the smartest girl in school made my dad stop yelling about me wasting my potential. But she's so unimpressed by everything. I buy her stuff, take her out, and she still acts like I'm just some guy. It's humiliating. Damn, that's rough. Seriously, you have no idea. She acts all high and mighty, won't even let me touch her. So what if she gets good grades? Her family's got no money. I'm only with her because she's kind of pretty. I don't get why girls like her act so stuck up. I bet if I threw some cash in her face, she'd come crawling like a dog. I stood frozen at the doorway. Every word, crystal clear. A soft laugh came from behind me. Everett had appeared like a ghost, listening just as intently. Before I could turn, he grabbed my hand and pulled me into a storage closet nearby. It was cramped. The closet smelled like cleaning supplies and Everett's cologne, wood smoke, and citrus. His chest pressed against my back, warm even through his jacket. I could hear his heartbeat, steady and fast, matching mine. The door had a small window. Through it, we watched Sterling stumble out, supported by his friends, still muttering complaints. Everett reached out and smoothed a strand of hair from my shoulder. He spoke directly into my ear. What do you think? If he knew you're actually the daughter of the city's biggest real estate developer, would he regret this? Chapter 6. My father's most important lesson: never think you're better than anyone else. So throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school, everything he gave me was just adequate. Not shabby enough to be embarrassing, not flashy enough to attract attention. Maybe because I never flaunted money around Sterling, he'd always assumed I was a poor kid who got in on grades alone. The hallway outside finally went quiet. Everett opened the closet door and led me out, our fingers intertwined. I tried to pull free. He held on tighter. Everett, I called his name. He turned, smirking, and shook our joined hands in front of us. What? Holding hands with me in front of your little boyfriend makes you feel guilty? Everett was my childhood friend. When he was little, he stayed at my house for a while. My father was very polite to him, not the kind of politeness you'd show a child, more like trying to please a superior. My father was already one of the most important people in this city. For someone to make him that careful. But Everett only stayed with us for 6 months before he disappeared. I never knew where he went. The next time I heard from him was years later. A text message appeared on my phone. An address. Our school's gymnasium. So I went. What I witnessed was my boyfriend Sterling pinning my best friend Meadow against the wall and kissing her like she was oxygen. I'd thought Sterling just looked down on me. I hadn't expected him to actually cheat. And the other woman was my best friend. I lost it. I was about to charge out and confront them. Someone grabbed both my hands from behind. The Everett standing before me was nothing like the boy I remembered. I'd always thought he'd grow up sunny and warm. But the person holding my wrists had nothing to do with warmth. His eyes were dark and unreadable. He moved without a sound. His face was more handsome than I'd imagined, but something about him sent chills down my spine. When he raised an eyebrow, I flinched. He whispered in my ear, "I heard he's your boyfriend, and he's already cheating on you. What a piece of work." I pulled back. "Everett, why didn't you ever tell anyone we knew each other?" His jaw tightened. "Your dad made me promise not to. He said you needed to make friends on your own, not because of who I was." His voice dropped. "I kept that promise. Even when it killed me to watch you date him." That was my reunion with Everett after 5 years. While my boyfriend and best friend were kissing like the world was ending, Everett straightened my school blazer collar. He smiled cold, knowing. Want to get even? Chapter 7. Today was my 18th birthday. It wasn't going well. This afternoon, I'd watched Sterling and Meadow being disgustingly affectionate. Again. That evening, I called my dad. His flight was delayed. He couldn't make it back. "You're 18 now, right? Adults shouldn't do childish things like celebrating their own birthdays." Even through his exhausted voice, I wanted to talk back. "If you don't come home, I'm going to smoke, drink, dye my hair, and get a tattoo." He chuckled. "Do whatever you want." Click. I glared at my phone's black screen. A lighter clicked beside me. Everett had a cigarette between his lips, watching me with open amusement. Suddenly, I wanted to do everything rebellious. I beckoned to him. "Everett, teach me how to smoke." Strange, I hated when Sterling smoked. But Everett with a cigarette looked dangerously attractive. He pulled out a cigarette and handed it to me. "Hold it." I opened my mouth and clamped it between my lips. He lit his own first, then he leaned in close, cigarette in his mouth, touching the glowing tip to mine. His eyelashes were long. When he concentrated, he almost looked gentle. And then my cigarette fell to the ground. He looked up at me and scoffed. "Never mind, you can't even hold it properly." Chapter 8. On the night you become an adult, does everyone go a little crazy? That's what I wondered, curled up on Everett's couch. How did I end up at his place? His house was massive, 3 floors with a garden. No one else around. I stared at the cigarette butt still on the floor. "I hate that he thinks money fixes everything," I said quietly. Everett didn't look at me. He stared at his hands. "I hate that he made you feel like you're not enough." His voice was soft, not teasing. "You're more than enough, Skyler. Grades, money, none of that matters. You're the only person who's ever seen me, really seen me." I turned to him, and for a second his mask slipped. He looked scared, not confident. I reached out and touched his wrist. I see you too, Everett. The moment stretched between us. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. The screen lit up an email notification. I caught a glimpse before he flipped it over. Cambridge University International Admissions Decision. He saw me looking and shrugged. It's nothing. But he didn't meet my eyes. Then my phone buzzed, a message from Sterling. Got you some lipstick, like $900, happy? You should really start taking care of your appearance. He'd attached a photo. I have a good memory. I opened Meadow's social media from a few days ago, compared the two photos. Same lipstick. Her caption, this shade is hideous. Then her post from today, a complete gift set of the same brand. Caption, someone's way of making it up to me, heh. The picture became clear. Sterling had given Meadow a lipstick she hated, so he bought her the whole set to apologize. The rejected one? He graciously passed it to me. I heard rustling behind me. Without turning, I knew Everett was there. Steam from his shower radiated against my back. In my phone's dark reflection, I could see he wasn't wearing anything on top. He reached over and straightened my collar. There's something I need to tell you, Skyler. He only used my first name when he wanted something. I hummed an acknowledgement. Then my phone rang. Sterling's name on the screen. The man behind me saw it too. His eyes went dark. Answer it. Chapter 9. Skyler, that lipstick is my birthday present to you. I know you're excited. After all, your boyfriend is really generous. Sterling's voice was slurred. You should listen to me from now on. I'm the only one who'd bother buying you nice things. His voice dropped lower. Skyler, you're legal now. Let's meet tonight. I'll take you somewhere nicer than anything you've ever seen. You just have to do what I say. I tried dealing with the call while grabbing Everett's wandering hands behind me. I glared at him. He was the one who told me to answer, and now he was causing trouble. You've had too much to drink, Sterling. I haven't. Skyler, what are you doing? Homework, The person behind me suddenly bit down on my shoulder. Hey, was that a noise? Sterling was drunk but still alert. Everett's damp hair brushed my neck. He had no intention of stopping. No, I thought I heard something. I mouthed to Everett, stop it. He curved his lips and slowly nodded. Nothing, probably the neighbors fighting. Okay, then say you love me. No way I could say something that embarrassing. All right, stop. Say you love me, Skyler. Before I could finish, Everett laughed softly. Clear enough for the phone to pick up. Silence on the other end, silence from me. But Everett didn't think it was dramatic enough. He gathered my hair to one side. Baby, are we sharing a bed tonight? Chapter 10. Sterling lost it. First came the phone call bombardment, then the text message bombardment. Who was that man with you that night? At school, he confronted me immediately. I told you it was the TV. I dug through my backpack for a test paper. But I heard, you were drunk, Sterling. I looked up and glared at him. It was the first time I'd gotten angry at him. He froze. Meadow walked over. Come on, Skyler is so well behaved. How could she do something like that? All she cares about is studying. Besides, our Skyler doesn't dress up. No guy would go after her. Maybe Meadow's words calmed him. But the next few days weren't easy. Sterling watched me like a hawk. Before, he'd always been indifferent. I hadn't dumped him because I wanted revenge first. Now I genuinely wanted out. This was exhausting. One afternoon, Meadow found me alone in the library. She slid into the seat across from me, her fingers nervously tapping the table. It's not that I hate you, Skyler. Her voice was barely above a whisper. It's that he looks at you like you're something precious, even when he's being an ass. I've never had anyone look at me that way. She swallowed hard. And you don't even seem to want it. I stared at her, my best friend of 10 years. Her betrayal wasn't malice, it was loneliness. Somehow, that made it worse. I didn't say anything. After a moment, she got up and left. Chapter 11. Skyler, tell me the truth. Are you seeing someone behind my back? During PE, Sterling interrogated me again. I couldn't be bothered. Being with me won't be bad for you. Your family doesn't have money. Whatever you need, tell me. I'll give it to you. His voice cracked slightly. My dad's always on my case about wasting potential. You're the only thing I've ever had that feels mine, you know? You're smart, you're good. And if you leave me for someone like Everett, what does that say about me? So that was it. His possessiveness wasn't love. It was insecurity wearing a mask. Plus, I know Everett Sinclair, he added, desperate now. Hearing that name from Sterling threw me off. Our school was elite. Status here depended on your background. Everett had just transferred in. His class was special for students with truly exceptional connections. Sterling actually claimed to know him. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward the field. From a distance, I saw a few people standing under a tree. My dad's company partners with Everett's family. That's the only reason I can get close to him. As he dragged me forward, I felt Everett's gaze fix on where our hands connected. I instinctively tried to pull away. Hey Everett, this is my girlfriend Skyler Thornton. Sterling wrapped an arm around my shoulder. Everett watched us without a word. He looked completely disinterested, half-lidded eyes, like he didn't care about anyone. Completely different from when he teased me in private. His expression was ice cold. Sterling, who usually owned the school, was keeping his tail between his legs. He smiled nervously and pulled me away. Chapter 12. We hadn't walked far before my phone buzzed. A text from Everett, just a few words. Come to the equipment room after class. Sterling was still dragging me along, but I turned back. Those dark eyes were fixed on me. What are you doing? The athletic equipment room. Not many people visited. Someone grabbed my wrist. Enjoying your time with Sterling? The man looked down at me. This time I felt it, he was angry. I just want a chance to get back at him. I stared at the dusty floor. A loud crash beside me. Everett braced one hand on the rack behind me, caging me in. His hands trembled. I'd never seen him this angry, this scared. When are you dumping that idiot? At such close range, we stared at each other. After a long silence, I asked softly, Everett, in what capacity are you asking me that? He went silent. I didn't know when I'd become so greedy, when I started wanting answers so badly. I knew Everett wasn't the type to take relationships seriously. I also knew that even with my dad's status, I didn't match up to him. But in that moment, I wanted to know what lay beneath his flippant exterior. Whether he really liked me or was just playing around. So I asked. He just reached up and brushed a speck of dust from my temple. Yeah, I don't have any right to ask. He smiled at me, almost cruel. Then I wish you and Sterling 100 years of happiness. Chapter 13. Everett and I had some kind of falling out. Or rather, he was ignoring me. I sent him messages. He never replied. Only now did I realize how distant we actually were. Sterling asked me to meet him in a secluded corner of the school. I had something to say too, so I went. But first, I typed out a text. My fingers were steady. Sterling, we're done. I saw you with Meadow. Don't contact me again. I hit send, watched it deliver, then I walked to meet him anyway. I wasn't going to hide. Maybe I'd never taken Sterling seriously. Maybe I wasn't afraid of him. So I hadn't expected him to try to hit me. It happened in an instant. He missed. His fist slammed into the wall. You think you can dump me after everything I've done for you? He sneered and threw photos at me. The images were blurry, a girl and a guy embracing. I remembered the equipment room, when Everett reached up to brush dust from my hair. Meadow found these on her sister's phone. She's in Everett's class. Sterling spat. Some girl took them to stir up drama. Doesn't matter. They prove you were cheating first. So that's how it got to him. Meadow, of course. I wasn't cheating. I just ended things. It's over, Sterling. His face twisted. I'm warning you, I could ruin you without lifting a finger. You think being a goody two-shoes with good grades means you can walk all over me? I could have your parents fired tomorrow. Believe that? I didn't believe it at all. I was too tired to argue. Then he grabbed my wrist. He started acting crazy, pulling at my clothes while holding up his phone. Tomorrow, everyone's going to see what you really are. When I couldn't break free, I realized I'd been careless. He was stronger. Overpowering me was easy. I screamed for help until my voice was hoarse. No one came. Just as I was about to bite his arm, he stopped. Everett. Every time I was at my most pathetic, Everett appeared. I remembered what he'd said. Then I wish you and Sterling 100 years of happiness. Chapter 14. So many images flashed through my mind. Everett as a child secretly taking me to see the ocean. Years later, squinting at me through noise and chaos, smiling. But a moment is just a moment. Sterling had clearly lost his mind. Everett watched him with a murderous expression. Sterling didn't notice. He kept tearing at my clothes right in front of Everett. I didn't see how Everett moved. But suddenly he had Sterling by the hair, slamming his head into the wall. The scene was intense. Sterling's head looked bad. He slumped on the ground. Everett crouched to his level. This was a side of him I'd never seen. He reached out and patted Sterling's hair like you'd pat a dog. Sterling didn't dare make a sound. Touch her again and I'll make sure you never use those hands. Everett stood. Sterling, lying on the ground, started whimpering, which earned him a few more kicks. Then Everett turned to me. His voice still carried fury. His eyes were slightly red. What if I hadn't been there? He whispered. What if he'd hurt you? His voice cracked. He wasn't just mad at Sterling. He was mad at himself for not protecting me sooner. I stepped back. My hands were shaking. My shirt was torn at the collar. Something faltered in his eyes when he saw me flinch. He lowered his gaze. Come on, let's get you out of here. He reached for my hand, then stopped, waited. I looked at his open palm. After a moment, I took it. Chapter 15. He didn't take me home. He took me to the nurse's office. It was empty. School had ended an hour ago. Everett found a first aid kit and set it on the counter. Sit. I sat on the edge of the cot, still shaking. He pulled up a chair across from me, not too close. Your wrist, he said quietly. Let me see. I held it out. Red marks were already forming where Sterling had grabbed me. Everett's jaw tightened, but his hands were gentle as he wrapped it with gauze. I'm going to file a report, I said. My voice came out steadier than I expected. With the school, I don't know if they'll do anything, but I want it on record. He looked up at me. Something shifted in his expression, surprise maybe, or respect. Good, he said. I'll back you up. I saw everything. We sat in silence for a moment. Everett. I pulled my hand back, held it against my chest. I need some space, just for tonight. I'm not pushing you away, I know, he stood, shoving his hands in his pockets. I'll walk you to the front gate. Your call if you want me to stay or go. At the gate, I turned to him. Thank you, I said, for being there, for not pushing. He almost smiled, almost. Get some rest, Skyler. I'll see you tomorrow. I watched him walk away before I headed home. That night, I filled out an online incident report through the school's Title IX portal. I described everything: the assault attempt, the witnesses, the torn clothing. I attached screenshots of Sterling's threatening texts. I didn't know if it would matter. But it was mine. My words, my record, my choice. Chapter 16. Sterling's mother tried to storm the school the next morning. She didn't get far. My father's attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia Chen, who'd handled hostile takeovers worth billions, was already in the principal's office. So was a representative from the school board, connected via video call. I'd called my dad the night before. For once, he'd listened without interrupting. I'm not asking you to fix it, I'd told him. I'm asking you to make sure they take me seriously. He'd been quiet for a long moment. Then, I'll send Patricia. She'll make sure they follow their own policies. The rest is up to you. From the hallway, I could hear Sterling's mother wailing. That girl seduced my son. She's nothing but a... Patricia's voice cut through like a scalpel. Mrs. Hughes, your son is facing investigation for attempted assault and harassment. There are witnesses, text messages, and a formal complaint on file. I'd suggest you focus on finding him a good defense attorney, rather than making slanderous statements that could result in additional legal action. Silence. The board representative's voice crackled through the speaker. Given the severity of the allegations and the evidence presented, Sterling Hughes will be placed on immediate suspension pending investigation. If the findings support the complaint, expulsion proceedings will follow. Additionally, Mr. Sinclair, I heard Everett's name and tensed, will face a disciplinary hearing for the physical altercation, regardless of circumstances. I'd expected that. Violence was violence, even in defense. Everett, leaning against the wall beside me, just shrugged. Worth it. The meeting ended. Sterling was escorted out by his mother, his head still bandaged. He didn't look at me. Patricia found me in the hallway afterward. The investigation will take a few weeks, she said. But between your documentation and the witnesses, I don't see him coming back. His family's already talking about transferring him out of state to avoid the publicity. Pravidia, no. And Everett? She glanced at him. Likely a warning and mandatory counseling. First offense, clear provocation, no lasting injury to the other party. He'll be fine. Everett scoffed. Counseling, great. I almost smiled. The next few days were strange. Suddenly, people were waving at me, sliding into seats beside me, asking if I wanted to sit with them. A girl from my math class brought me a latte. I've always wanted to be friends with you, she said. I smiled politely, but my chest felt tight. This was what I'd avoided for years: attention for who my dad was, not who I was. Everett appeared behind me, sliding an apple onto my tray. You don't have to pretend, he said quietly. Let's get out of here. We walked to the roof, and he handed me a book, my favorite, the one I'd lost in middle school. Found it in my attic, he said. For the first time, I didn't mind being different, not with him. Chapter 17. That afternoon, I went home with Everett. More accurately, he took my hand and led me away. It had always been like this when we were kids. He got into fights back then, too. He'd come back bruised, holding my hand as we walked home. He was taller and took bigger steps. I couldn't keep up, so I called out. Only then did he slow down. He turned and tucked hair behind my ear. I flinched away. Still jumpy? After everything, who wouldn't be? Everett, I just keep thinking. I struggled to find words. What would I have done without my dad's connections? If my parents really were ordinary, would this have been a disaster I couldn't escape? I started dating Sterling because he was nice to me, even though I had no background. When he pursued me, he didn't care about status. I thought he liked me for who I was. I was wrong. I smiled bitterly. He was watching me intently. You care that much about Sterling? He raised an eyebrow, sounding annoyed. Had he completely missed my point? I don't think you'd be helpless without your dad. Because you would have fought back no matter what. You filed that report yourself. You stood up for yourself before I even got there. You'd already broken up with him. That's what your dad taught you, not to rely on him but on yourself. Besides, you have me. I'm not just here for decoration. Senior year was almost over. Everett was going abroad, so was I. Both to Europe but different countries. On graduation night, the school went all out. Suits and gowns required. Halfway through, I snuck out. Too many guys asking me to dance. A certain someone got jealous. He grabbed my hand and pulled me out the back door. I was holding up my dress, telling him I was in heels. Everett's eyes caught starlight. He raised an eyebrow, no problem, then swept me into his arms. He carried me to his motorcycle. We rode through the dark streets, wind whipping past, until we reached the mountain overlook at the edge of the city. At the peak, he cut the engine. The distant horizon stretched endlessly. Below, the city's lights twinkled like a sea of stars. He spoke softly. That day, when you asked what capacity I was speaking in, I almost blurted it out. He smiled, a little helpless. But I really had no right. I came back to find you, only to discover you had a boyfriend, someone like Sterling. I was angry but couldn't do anything. So I inserted myself into your relationship. It got messier, and I couldn't control myself anymore. His voice grew quieter. I left because my mom got sick. We had to move to Europe for treatment. I tried to call you, but your dad said you were focusing on school, and I didn't want to distract you. By the time she got better, I was scared you'd forgotten me, so I waited until senior year to come back, and then I saw you with Sterling. There's a lot I couldn't tell you, but I don't want to hide anymore. This might be my last chance. His eyes held more stars than the sky. Do you remember the treehouse in my backyard? 5th grade, rainy day, we stayed up there for hours, eating candy and watching the storm. You said you were going to marry me because I'm the only one who doesn't laugh when you snort when you laugh. I told you I'd wait forever. His voice cracked, just a little. Then you moved and I thought you forgot. He looked at me. I never forgot, not once. I like you. I've liked you since we were little. He stopped. Because I threw my arms around him. Stop talking. I know, Everett. He laughed softly. What do you know? That you like me, that's all I need. I blinked at him. But then through gritted teeth. So you remember the promise, and then you got yourself another boyfriend. I had a bad feeling. His arms tightened. Wait, Everett, who remembers? Before I could finish, he caught every word between his lips and mine. He pulled back just slightly. Who remembers? I remember perfectly. I pushed at his chest, breathless. That email I saw on your phone, Cambridge admissions. You're going to England. He smiled. I was, but I already applied to transfer to your university. Got accepted last week. My eyes widened. You didn't tell me. I wanted to tell you here, he said, nodding at the city lights. With the stars, just like we used to. Below, the city hummed with distant life. Above, the sky stretched infinite and dark. And I finally found my answer. Even if it was a little crazy, even if he drove me insane. I reached up and ruffled his hair. Everett, I won't forget what happens from now on. Thank you for coming back to find me. I saw Meadow once after that at the mall working at a coffee shop. She smiled at me hesitantly. I'm sorry, she said. I was stupid. I nodded. I know. We didn't hug, didn't exchange numbers, but it felt like closure. Sterling never contacted me. Last I heard, the investigation findings went on his permanent record. His family moved him to a boarding school on the other coast, no sports scholarships, no Ivy League legacy admission. Just a fresh start he'd have to earn himself. I didn't feel happy about it. I just felt relieved. Relieved to be free of them. Free to be with someone who loved me for me. The end.